Seasonal Affective Disorder, commonly known as SAD or SAD, is the experience of recurrent depressive episodes at a particular time of year. While some people do report summer depressions, the overwhelming majority of cases are of wintertime depressions. So these tend to begin at about November-December time, and the symptoms tend to remit around March or April. One of the core clinical features of SAD is thought to be around fluctuations in energy, sleep and appetite levels. Specifically, people tend to report that they experience an increased appetite, along with a craving for carbohydrates and sometimes some associated weight gain, increased lethargy or decreased energy levels, and also an increased desire to sleep. The interesting thing about these fluctuations is that they occur quite a lot in the general population with people that don't experience depression. So only for some people do these fluctuations lead to the experience of these recurrent depressive episodes. So what is it about some people that means that these fluctuations lead to a depressed mood? Research indicates that the way that people perceive and react to these changes in their energy, sleep and appetite levels plays a big role in whether or not they experience these depressive episodes in the wintertime. What we know is that people who experience this SAD tend to make a comparison in how they're functioning in the wintertime compared to how they feel they were functioning in the summertime, and they perceive quite a large discrepancy in this level of functioning. They also focus more on the symptoms and the potential causes and consequences of these symptoms. And they sometimes start to engage in negative or catastrophic thinking before winter even arrives. So in the lead up to winter, they might start to think, oh no, this always happens at winter time. I'm going to feel less energy. I'm not going to perform as well at work. It's just all going to go wrong. And sometimes they can even bring on these fluctuations and start to feel these lessened energy levels or increased desire for sleep before the winter months have even hit. Once the fluctuations do start to occur, they tend to start to worry and think more about the potential negative consequences of this change in functioning. For example, when feeling more lethargic, someone might start to engage in perfectionistic and catastrophic thinking about the impact of this lethargy on their ability to perform at work. They might start to think, I'm not going to perform as well. What if I get demoted? I could even be fired. Once people start to engage in this kind of thinking, they tend to start to feel other symptoms of depression, such as low mood or feelings of worthlessness. Sometimes then these feelings can lead to changes in their behaviour, what they do with their arms and legs, as it were. People might begin to socialise less, or when they go to work, not engage in the activities that they would usually do so on a day-to-day basis. This leads to further feelings of failure and low mood, and sometimes people can experience very severe depressive episodes in this context. You might be thinking, great, so it's just me, it's just the way I think about things. That's not so good. Well, in some ways, this is the most positive thing that can occur. If it's just the weather that's affecting our mood, what can we do to change that? Unless we win the lottery and start chasing the sun all year, we all have to experience the winter months. And we can't necessarily impact the original changes in functioning that leads to for some people. Feeling more tired, having less energy, and perhaps craving different foods. But we can learn to adjust our thinking, to manage these thoughts differently so that they don't impact as much how we feel and also how we behave. An acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, and mindfulness approach to SAD would suggest that a fantastic first step in better managing the problem would be an increased awareness of this cycle between our negative thinking, our low mood, and these changes in our behaviour where we're doing less of the things that are important in our life. What ACT would say is that we don't get to choose the hand of cards that we're dealt, whether it's winter or summer, and how this maybe originally changes our energy levels, our desire to sleep, or our appetite. But we do get to choose how we play that hand of cards, and that's where we've got some control. The first step is recognising the bits we can't control and leaving them alone, and then working on what we can actually control with our arms and legs. So the first step then would be to start to look at this negative or catastrophic thinking that we tend to engage in if we're struggling in the winter months. But I don't get to choose the thoughts that come into my head, I hear you say, and you'd be absolutely right. If I asked you right now not to think of a pink elephant, what are you thinking of? Yep, that pink elephant's popped into your mind, and it's probably pretty hard to get it out. So think about when these thoughts are even more difficult. It's very difficult then to just pop a thought out of our head. ACT would look at strategies to help you to not change your thinking or get rid of it, but to not allow it to have such an influence on how you're feeling and what you're doing with your arms and legs. One set of skills that'd be really important is mindfulness skills. These skills help us to step back and get distance from difficult thoughts and see them for what they are, just thoughts. The next step would be, how do I manage these low or difficult emotions, these feelings that go along with these difficult thoughts? Sometimes what we allow our feelings to do is dictate our behaviour. It's almost like a tantruming child that we feed with sweets. Our depressed mood says, don't go out, don't see your friends, don't even go to work, there's no point, you're going to fail at it anyway, or you just won't have fun. And then we give in. We let our depressed mood dictate what we do with our arms and legs. The result of this is an even more depressed mood, and also the fact that life just looks less and less how we want it to. We're not engaging in those valued activities that give us a sense of self-confidence and also a sense of joy. So, an ACT and mindfulness approach to SAD would help us to better manage difficult thoughts, better tolerate difficult feelings, and stay in tune with our values when we're behaving in our day-to-day life. And this might allow us to get through winter, or in some cases, we might even be able to connect with some of the joy and beauty that winter months actually provide us. I'm Elise Stephen from City Psychology Group, and you can send any questions in to asktheexpert@citypsychology.com.